Now, over the years, when it comes to Star Wars as a franchise, we have seen a lot of Kathleen Kennedy's work that really sabotaged the overall franchise, such as with The Last Jedi and The Rise of Skywalker as a film, and how that really had a big impact as well on the Star Wars fandom, having a great big divide within the overall community. This is Mike Zero. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Disney Star Wars is that, yes, we do know that George, John, and Dave are all working together as a team, working on The Mandalorian, Rangers of the New Republic, which, by the way, is going to get a brand new title this fall. Looking forward to that. And they're also working on the Ahsoka Tano series starring Rosario Dawson. So there's a lot of shows coming into play here by George, John, and Dave to really kind of stabilize Star Wars, to really move things forward in a very satisfying way for the fandom. Now, given that where we are right now, we have The Bad Batch Episode 3 coming up, as well as Episode 4 in just a number of days from now, it's going to be very exciting to see exactly how The Bad Batch ends when it comes to that series, and what it's going to look like once the Book of Boba Fett drops this December, and where the community is going to be at that point in time just before 2022. Now, on top of all of this, what's really exciting is that we do know also that Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are really on a big mission here to drag in tons of Star Wars Legends content into the Star Wars universe, such as a lot of stories about Luke Skywalker, Mara Jade, Palpatine, and more, that's going to have a massive impact on multiple TV shows that we already are aware of, and that ones that have yet to be announced that will be this fall leading into Star Wars Celebration of 2022. However, what's really intriguing all has to do with, of course, Disney and Kathleen Kennedy and exactly where this is all going. Now that both Disney and Lucasfilm are focused on their TV shows such as Star Wars Kenobi and Ahsoka, both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni are hard at work on the Mandalorian series for Disney+. Now, it's described, however, that in a recent interview with Disney's spokesperson, when going over the future of Star Wars and more, the spokesperson was eventually questioned about Lucasfilm's leadership such as Kathleen Kennedy, who went on to state that Kathleen Kennedy and what she is doing right now with the Acolyte series is going to be a new series that will take some adjusting for the fandom to accept Kennedy's direction with that show between her and Leslie Headland. However, when questioned about firing Kathleen Kennedy and letting her go from the franchise, and if that is going anywhere, the spokesperson went on to state that they do realize that there is a large portion of the fandom that has negative opinions about Kathleen Kennedy, and that this is no secret to them. However, whether or not there is a plan to fire Kathleen Kennedy is an irresponsible question to ask at this time, and that they do believe that Kathleen Kennedy has done such an amazing job so far with the Star Wars franchise and where it's all leading. Now, the spokesperson by Disney continued to state that it would be awful to see Kathleen Kennedy fired by her superiors, and that in her mind, it is not necessarily at all over a couple of fans that had issues with a set of Star Wars films. It's not necessary, in her opinion. And that it is exciting to see her working on Indiana Jones now. Now, when questioned about Kathleen Kennedy quitting from Lucasfilm, the spokesperson from Disney replied that this is all up to Kathleen Kennedy and what plans she has in store for herself. What she does know is that Kathleen Kennedy has big plans for her future, aside from Star Wars at Lucasfilm. Now, the last piece most definitely alludes to what we went over a couple of weeks ago, that Kathleen Kennedy is indeed starting her own production company that she plans to begin sometime in mid-2022, next year. Now, say what you will about Lucasfilm, it seems like that they do have a lot of great possibilities ahead. So far, I will admit, The Bad Batch, it's very impressive. There are a couple of characters that I'm not really all that impressed with, and yes, I do know that the Andor TV series may not be the most attractive live-action TV show for next year, but fans are looking forward to The Mandalorian, Kenobi, Ahsoka, and others out there. Even the Lando Star Wars TV show, a lot of people seem to forget about that one. That's another one to look forward to. there's a lot coming for Disney Plus, and as long as these shows are made with great quality, I think that Lucasfilm and Disney can succeed with Star Wars and really get out of this decline. You know, this hole that they're in right now. They can dig themselves out and patch it up and put that behind themselves. They can most definitely do that. So, when we look at Kathleen Kennedy as a president, all right, of a company and as a producer, and how she was the one who interrupted the sequel trilogy on a creative scale, yes, she is the one responsible for sabotaging the sequel trilogy. That is no secret at all. She is the one directly responsible for that. There is no denying that. So, this spokesperson by Disney obviously is sided with Kathleen Kennedy. Keep in mind, however, that not everybody over at Disney is on Kathleen Kennedy's side. In fact, there's a lot of board members over at Disney that are already sided more so with Jon Favreau's approach to Star Wars and Dave Filoni's, and how that's exactly going. So that's another thing to really keep in mind here, is that Disney seems to be split just as much as Lucasfilm is split as a company when it comes to their employees and their higher-ups. Here's another thing that I think is very important that a lot of fans need to absolutely know, is that, of course, Kathleen Kennedy is really preparing to quit Lucasfilm in the near future to start her own production company. Now, the details about that, we went over this briefly, but she plans to transfer tons of Lucasfilm employees to this unknown company. We're not quite sure what it's going to be called, or what kind of films, or whatever TV shows, who knows what they're going to make, right, that they're going to produce over there. Nonetheless, Kathleen Kennedy wants to bring tons of Lucasfilm employees over to her production company to succeed in Hollywood, even all the more so before she fully retires, leaving that behind to somebody else. Now, everything about the Acolyte series, this in Kathleen Kennedy's mind is her Star Wars legacy. This is the one thing that she wants to leave behind. It's why she's working so hard on the TV show with Leslie. It's another reason as to why there's been a lot of firings, because Kathleen Kennedy's very dedicated to her work on the show. She wants to make sure that the Acolyte will succeed. So, obviously, when we look at the Acolyte series and who's attached to it and exactly what it's going to be all about, it's not going to be a success, in my book. We already know that Leslie Headland is not a Star Wars fan. She's not a Star Wars supporter in any way. This is just a writer coming on board of a Star Wars project. I mean, simple as that, really. But when we go ahead and look deeper into what the universe has to offer, a majority, if not, more than 98% of it is going to be Jon and Dave Filoni. That's the exciting thing about the future of Star Wars for the foreseeable future, is that it's going to be all Jon and Dave, at least for a good number of years. They're still, young people, and they can work on a lot of projects and get a lot of things out and build their legacy to leave something behind. I think that's very exciting, and what they're making, let me tell you, I mean, it really does seem promising, to say the least. The Ahsoka series, how it's going to deal with the worlds between worlds, and how the Mandalorian's going to introduce more beloved characters from Star Wars Legends, and how they're also going to create TV shows based on fan favorite characters, and the list goes on and on. They really are dedicated to their work. So, Kathleen Kennedy, obviously the Disney spokesperson that replied to her firing, she was really on guard about that, seemed a little offended. Obviously, this is something similar to when that little meeting that we got a couple months ago when they asked Bob Chapek if they would be firing Kathleen Kennedy. He was really put in a weird position. So, anyways, guys, let me know what you think about the entire situation below in the comments, and if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.